Hey guys, Liquid here, and welcome back to Let's Answer Some Questions. As always, post questions below, and I shall answer them next week. Let's get started. First off, Red Hood 440 asks, do you agree that the high ground will always win? Now, I honestly don't quite know what you mean by this. Like, if you mean like, like people who are like advantaged will always overcome the not advantaged. Like, I think like the high ground, I guess, would help, but sometimes the underdog does come from behind. Like I'm assuming that's what you mean. I honestly am not quite sure. Um, and would I ever play any Star Wars games? I actually have Let's played Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2 from like the last like a couple of generations ago. Um, you can find them on my channel. And I've also let's played Lego Star Wars, the complete trilogy thing from like episodes 1 through 6. As for other Star Wars games, it could be something that I look into. I know there was the Star Wars Episode 3 game was probably the only other Star Wars game that I played a lot of. Might check out the newer The Force Awakens Lego Star Wars. And I know that there are some like Knights of the Old Republic and Jedi Academy and stuff like that I might also check out. But so yeah, I have done a few Star Wars games, and I could do them in the future at some point. Do more in the future at some point. Red Robin asks, have you ever been in a relationship? I have, indeed. It was a number of years ago. I know that you don't like people sending you stuff, but do you plan on opening a P.O. box so that fans can send you stuff? At this time, I do not have any plan like that because I just feel like even like it's just too much hassle, too much effort to put in for something that won't really amount to much. Probably like I feel like I would open up a P.O. box and I doubt I would really get too much. Like I think like maybe like I might do it and then like get something at the very beginning, but then probably no one would probably actually do anything. And plus, look up a YouTuber called the Wine Cone. Recently did a video about YouTubers and PO boxes. Like and I do kind of agree with him. Like I feel like the whole like you mate like I don't really have a big problem with it, but I do find like the whole people making 30-minute videos about like things that people have sent them. It is a bit, I don't know, just when you really think about it, kind of strange. Look up that Winecone video. It's kind of funny. Cats asks, do you know who Leafy is here is? If you do you like him? I have heard of that name, but I've never watched one of their videos, so I can't really say. I feel like when I do hear it, it's usually in a kind of controversial context. Like as I understand, like he does videos of just like kind of ranting about certain people or something. I'm not really sure, but again, I've never actually like watched his videos, but I think I'm not even sure if I'm thinking about the right person, but I remember there was like a controversy about this fellow who, or I guess like he went after this fellow who was like he was kind of like sending this fellow threats or something like that, and it like went a bit far, but I can't really say too much because I don't really know who he is. Bob asks, what is your favorite Disney movie? Also, do you prefer the old ones, pre-2000s, or the latest ones like Frozen, Tangled, etc.? My favorite Disney movie perhaps be, honestly, the first one that came into my mind was Hunchback of Notre Dame, which I quite enjoyed. Like, especially the music from that one is quite nice. I believe there's actually a part in my if you look at my Spider-Man for the PS1 game, the replay of that I did, I remember I actually talked about like the first time that I ever saw Hunchback of Notre Dame at some point during that. There's also Bambi was quite nice. Um, yeah, possibly one of those two. Quite enjoyed them. And do I prefer the older ones, pre 2000s, or the latest ones like Frozen, Tangled, etc.? For the most part, I would say I enjoy both. I enjoyed Frozen. I really enjoyed Tangled. Though I do wish that they like you had that there was a Winnie the Pooh movie that came out like in 2011 that as I understand it didn't really succeed too much at the box office, but it was like a return to traditional animation. Um, and I feel like everything, every movie that comes out these days, like every animated movie that is designed for like to be like a family comedy type thing, is always these days always 3D animated and always has that same art style. Like the thing about 3D animation is, you can make something that looks like real. You can do a lot of stuff with it, but it's always like this very kind of clay looking art style. Like not really clay, but like you look at like I don't know, just like you know any 3D animated film, and they all look at this like this kind of clayish look, if that makes sense. And so I do feel like the whole 3D animated thing is, I wouldn't say it's getting stale, but I do like wish for a return to form for you know traditional 2D hand drawn animation. Um, like especially like it would be one thing to just go back to 2D, but for me when it comes to even 2D animation, I like to me the look of hand drawn animation is very very nice. Like you have a lot of people doing it these days, or just doing it on Flash or something like that. But to me, a hand drawn animation, like you look back at like the old days, like 1980s or something like that, or even before that, 1950s and so on. Um, I don't know, it just has a very personal look to it that I really really like. Again, I don't have anything against 3D animation, in particularly in particular like Tangled. I really enjoyed, and the 3D animation wasn't really a problem at all. But it's the type of thing where you know, I do wonder if I would have liked Frozen even more had it been traditionally like 2D hand drawn and whatnot. Um, but yeah, I think I kind of rambled a bit there, but yeah, I prefer 2D animation, I would say. Would I rather have superhero movies that are more faithful to the comics or be more realistic? When it comes to being more realistic, I don't really think that's the issue, but I would say I would instead make it the question of be more faithful to the comics or just be more good. Should you adapt something from the comic if it is sacrificing narrative quality, or just something that doesn't really make too much sense? To me, the whole comic book thing doesn't really matter too much because I've never really read too many comic books. So, you can change as much as you like, and I wouldn't really notice. As well as I think that probably applies to the average person. Like, you can, do whatever you want, and as long as it's a good movie, people probably enjoy it. Except for the diehard comic book fans. Like in my Batman Begins let's play, I remember like asking about how you know people were talking about how I guess they made a lot of like changes to I guess Batman's backstory for Batman Begins with the whole Henry Ducard Ra's al Ghul thing. But to me, I think it they made it into a good movie. Like I didn't really care too much about any changes because to me it was just a naturally good movie, I guess. Um, And so yeah, like I would say, it can be nice to have things that are faithful to the comic book, and I'm the same way. Like you know, when it is a source material that I'm familiar with, um, like the recent Death Note American movie, like you know, I'm gonna stay with the anime rather than the live action, or the recently announced Kimi no Nawa Your Name live action. Like I'm worried. Like, are they gonna like what are they gonna do with it? Are they gonna set it in America? Or, like, how are they going to like in my mind, there's not really much way that they can improve upon it, but there's many ways that they can you know take it down. So like if I were more had I been more familiar with the comic books and whatnot, I might have a different opinion. But because I don't really care too much about superheroes in general, like the thing is, like, I let's play a lot of superhero related games, but you know that's kind of it. Like I don't really read comic books and whatnot and stuff like that. So I would rather it just be a good movie. Donald Trump, or President, asks, "Did you vote for me?" I did not, because I actually did not. I did not vote. Sluis Swaxia asks, "You brought up the Final Fantasy VII Remake. What do you think of it being released as three separate parts? I remember the original was like 3 discs or whatever, but it was one purchase. Seriously, 3 separate times you had to pay for one game? That's so scummy." I would say, yeah, I am looking forward to the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm curious what changes they'll make and whatnot. I remember when I first saw the E3, when they announced it at E3, like I seriously like almost lost my mind. Like I was like on a Skype call with some friends, and I was just like, what is it? Like I was going crazy. But what do I think of it being released? I actually haven't heard anything about it being 3 parts. I've just heard it being multi-part. So I'm not sure if they'll keep it at 3 or they'll go higher. Um, for the most part, I do think that's a bit weird. Like I'm really I just have to like kind of reserve judgment until it becomes apparent what they actually plan to do with it. Like, the first game was 3 discs, but it was the type of thing where there was a lot of content on those discs. Like, at least cause it was like the first disc got you this far, the second disc got you this far, and then the last disc didn't actually have anything on it. Like the last disc was just the final boss. Like it was just kind of like the whole world to explore, and then the final dungeon. Um, and so it's like you can't really mimic the disc thing like that, because then you'll just have like a one part that's only the final boss, which I don't really think that would work today. Or people have like speculated to be something like it's like you leave Midgar and then that's the first disc. Like I would want, like I said, like I would want there to be. I think Midgar, ending it in Midgar, the first part, I think that would be too soon. Like I would want it to be a considerable amount of hours. Like I want to say like I saw like some Square representative or something did say at some point that like each part would be the equivalent of like a full game. Now whether they're talking about like a full game, quote unquote, where it's like a 6-hour game, or whether they're talking about like a full Final Fantasy game that's like you could spend like just tens of hours on one part. To me, that makes a lot of the difference. But yeah, like, ideally it would have come out in one part, but I do sort of understand, I guess, because it is the type of thing where we live in an age, I guess, in which a lot of things just kind of have to be sacrificed to get things released on time and whatnot. And so, if it did come out in one part, it probably would have like been a very inadequate remake, possibly. Also, that Ratchet movie was trash. 10 out of 10, literally just cutscenes from the game. Now, that's an interesting way you word it, because last time it was the Gamer Brit Show, I believe it. Well, I believe the fellow was that made this Ratchet and Clank analysis video, and he made a I think it was called How Ratchet Lost His Edge or something like that. And one of the the knocks against the game that he had was like you worded it as a that the cutscene like the movie used cutscenes from the game, whereas what I understand it was that the the game used scenes from the movie, like they were sort of like being worked on at the same time, and so they would just kind of borrow like scenes from the movie or whatever. M Cole 04 asks, could you do a let's play on Batman by Telltale Games? I can and probably will sometime soon, perhaps. Or when I say soon, I don't mean like soon, soon. Like it'll probably still be like a few months, but that is something that I do want to do. S Sneaky Viper asks, ever thought about doing a let's play on the Destroy All Humans games? Also, big fan. I've been watching since the Indigo Prophecy Let's Play and Batman Arkham Asylum, which are my two favorites. Thank you very much for sticking with me, because I remember doing Indigo Prophecy and that was a fun Let's Play. But just Destroy All Humans. It's technically it's possible. Like I could do it at some point. I have no immediate plans, and I actually don't even own the game, and I haven't really played it too much. But I did rent Destroy All Humans at one point, and it was fun. Like so I could definitely check it out at some point. I remember like because like my folks, like my family was like the type that didn't really want me playing very like many violent games and whatnot, like Grand Theft Auto and stuff. I sort of like would play it in secret. Like whenever somebody came into my room when I was playing it, I would actually just turn my PlayStation 2 off. Cause like I didn't want them to like see me, I guess, like killing people. Like I like thinking back on it, I don't really think it was very violent, very violent game. But definitely the name, Destroy All Humans was very like got some suspicion, I guess. But that's all the questions for this week. Till next time, hope you enjoyed, and look it up.